Top 5 advanced tips for the Elder Scrolls castles. Starting off with tip number 1, if you're going to rearrange your castle, be sure to unpause frequently to check your oil and food supply. Believe it or not, and I learned this the hard way, the game does not stop when you're in build mode. Your oil and food will still deplete, and that can cause a lot of problems, because when I figured that out, I had the game going for probably 15 minutes in build mode trying to rearrange my castle, and a lot of people were very, very hungry and had low health at that point. So yeah, just be sure to unpause regularly to address that issue, and it would be a good idea if you're starting to run low to use some of your potions. You might want to have those stocked up, but I know at this point of the game, you know, you're in your advanced levels, you already have a lot of rooms. Now you're just trying to focus on the overall aesthetic of your castle, but just be wary of having the oil and the food go down. Advanced tip number 2 is leave room for the decorations. Yes, not only do those provide some level of benefit, but they also look great. You know, like in this room right here, I have a garden, some hanging stuff and some little wall gardens there and a fountain, but they do provide boosts that do stack. So just in this room, I have 2 of these hanging gardens that provide plus 10 stamina for nobles, but in my castle, I have, I think, 5 or 6. So that equals, 50 plus stamina for your nobles. This one here, kitchen oil consumption by 2%. Well, if I have 5 of those, well, there you go. It stacks. So it does give your castle a lot of character in different places, but they do have some practical effect. And as you're in these advanced levels and worrying about rearranging your castle, you might want to keep that in mind. Leave a little bit of extra room. They look great in your workshops, and it's fun for if you want to build like a little atrium, kind of like how this is. In mine, I have the king's crowns over there, a little buffet in here, and that's where I keep all the fun stuff. But I try to make the throne room look good. This hallway that leads you in there, and my indoor garden. So just leave room for the decorations. Advanced tip number 3, and this might be obvious to a lot of you, but to me, it took a while to figure this out, like an embarrassing amount of time, and that is that you can actually just go for the quest objectives one at a time instead of trying to get them all at one go. I don't think the game actually made that clear in the tutorial, and I just learned it through regular gameplay. But if you only get 2, it saves those 2, and then your next playthrough or go through of that quest, you can just go for that one quest or that one objective, and it'll still count the same. Now, it's very important to go back through all of the quests and try to get all of the objectives on all of them, because that's going to land you the most XP. The quests or the objectives in the quest, once you get all 3, you'll typically get about 50 to 100 XP, and that's how you level up fast in the Elder Scrolls castles, is getting that XP, and that's through the quests. The next advanced tip for the Elder Scrolls castles is going to be save all of the scrolls and potions for the actual quests themselves instead of doing Sheogorath's Gauntlet. And the reason for that is the Gauntlet rewards really suck in comparison to the quests, and the Gauntlet takes a really, really long time to do. Even if you turn up the speed on that, it's not that great. The highest level I've gotten to, I believe, was level 49 right there, and I got like maybe 100 some gold and like a decent weapon and some armor. Nothing really that great. And if you're gonna sit down and spend the time, you may as well do it on a quest to get decent rewards. So I would save all of your important things for the actual quests themselves instead of doing gauntlet runs. And finally, advanced tip number 5 is that not all enchantments are created equal. And we'll take a look at this example here with these silver plate armors. Both level 3, both silver plate, but they have very different enchantments. This one has plus 40 shock resistance, 78 stamina, and 86 health, while this one has plus 10% damage, 60 stamina, and 68 health. And if you're a person who likes to have, certain kind of I guess, subjects who go out on your quest, whether they be archers or mages or melee fighters. The armor or the enchantments absolutely matter. And just because you have an enchanted item doesn't mean you should necessarily keep it. While it is cool, sometimes you just outgrow the enchanted item. It might be helpful for a little while, but as you progress in levels, it no longer becomes useful. And a good example of that is these Redguard Iron Daggers. They do have an enchantment of +1 frost damage, but that's not really that useful. And with it being already upgraded to level 8, it's still iron and it only does 16 damage. So if we just scroll up here and take a look at these steel daggers that are level 2, they do 13 damage and they are almost as good, right? And it gets even worse once you move up. These are silver and they do the same amount of damage with no enchantment. So it might just be easier or more beneficial to go ahead and sell those off, because you'll still get a decent amount of gold because they are enchanted. And that will wrap up these top 5 advanced tips for the Elder Scrolls castles. I hope you found some of them useful, and if you can think of anything that I haven't mentioned in this video or one of the others, please feel free to leave it in the comments below.